Hello, boys and girls. Today for math, we are going to use representations to solve word problems about time. So we've been talking a lot about telling time to the minute and then solving elapsed time. Today we're going to read word problems and figure out what they're asking about time, but we're going to use bar diagrams to help us solve. So for this first problem, a chef wants to bake a meal for 30 minutes. So far, the meal has been baking 12 minutes. How much longer does it need to bake? All right, let's take a look at this question and let's mark it up. It says a chef wants to bake a meal for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is definitely important. So I'm going to underline that. 30 minutes. And we know that that's the total amount of time, right? That's the total amount that it's going to be baking. So far, so it already was baking for 12 minutes. That's what already passed. Now the question is, how much longer does it need to bake? So how much longer? When we're asking how much longer does it need to bake, we're thinking about subtraction, right? If we know 30 is the total, that would go up here. It's the total amount of time that it would bake. That would go on the top. Remember, total top. Total top. And I'm going to even add a little m so we know we're talking about minutes, right? And it already was baking for 12 minutes. So that was one part, 12 minutes. We want to figure out how much longer. So I'm going to draw a line and then put a question mark in there because that's what we're solving. And if we take a look at this bar diagram, we see we have the total already. When we have the total, we don't have equal parts, right? So we're not multiplying or dividing. We have the total. We have two parts, so part, whole. That means we're going to be subtracting. So in order to solve this, I know the total is 30, and I'm going to subtract 12 minutes. I have to regroup, right? Hey, Mr. 3, can I borrow from you? That becomes a 2, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8, and 2 minus 1, Miss Black almost made an easy mistake a lot of us can make, right? 2 minus 1 equals 1. So our label would be 18 more. We could just write 18 minutes, but let's make it even more specific, 18 more minutes. And you could write MIN to abbreviate for minutes. So 18 more minutes. All right, let's try another one. Amelia made a list of the time she should spend on different activities. Her list is right here. She practiced playing the piano for 35 minutes so far. 35 minutes so far. That means she already did it, right? How much longer does she need to practice? How much longer does she need to practice? I'll squiggle underline my question so I know I could refer back to it if I need it. So here's all of her activities, her after-school activities. It says play with Ron for 50 minutes, practice piano for 45 minutes, and homework for 60 minutes. Okay, so the question is asking how much longer does she need to practice? Practice what? Let's go back to the question and look at it a little bit deeper, right? It says Amelia made a list of the time she should spend on different activities. She practiced playing the piano for 35 minutes so far. How much longer does she need to practice? So we're going to use this information right here. Practicing piano for 45 minutes. She needs to practice 45 minutes. I'm going to write a T here because that's our total. And we know total goes on top, so it's 45 minutes goes on the top. We'll set up our bar diagram. Okay, how many minutes did she practice so far? She already did one part of it. 35 minutes. I'll put an M here and an M here so we remember we're talking about minutes. And we need to figure out how much longer she needs to practice. So we have to figure out that question mark. So again, same as before, we have our total, we're missing a part, so that's subtraction. So we're going to subtract 45 minus 35. 5 minus 5 is 0. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So our final answer is 10 more minutes, right? We always need a label when we're talking about word problems. More minutes. Now, I do want to look at this problem again. We did solve it, but I want to just look at the after-school activities. Another question could be, how much time is she going to spend on all of her after-school activities? So in that case, I'm going to switch to red. We could just add up, right? Because that would be, if we're asking for a total, we could add up all of these times, right? So I'm going to erase this. And then I'm just going to use this to help me add them up. They're all lined up already. So 0 plus 5 plus 0 is 5. And then 5 and 4 is 9, and 6 more is 15. So 15 minutes. Oh, not 15 minutes, 155 minutes. So if she were spending, if it asks us how much time did she spend on all of her after-school activities, which could be a part 2, right? How much time is she going to spend on all these after-school activities? That would be 155 minutes. That would be an addition problem, finding the total. Let's do one last problem. Alexa plans to ride her bike for 45 minutes. So far, she has ridden her bike for 27 minutes. How much longer will she need to ride her bike? Let's mark this problem up. She plans to ride for 45 minutes. That's the total amount of time she plans to ride. So I'm going to write a T for total. So far, she has ridden her bike for 27 minutes. That's the part that's already completed. Now, how much longer will she ride her bike? Okay, we know that 45 minutes was the total. We know one part of it was 27 minutes, was what she already rode her bike for. And now we're looking for the missing part. So we're going to draw a line and write a question mark, a missing part. And again, this is a subtraction problem. We have our total, and we're going to subtract the one part that she already completed. So 45 minutes, 27 minutes, okay. 5 minus 7, we can't do. There's more on the floor. We got to go next door. So we borrow from Mr. 4. He becomes a 3. The 5 becomes a 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. 3 minus 2, we can do. That's 1. So 18 is our answer, and we'll label it 18 more minutes riding her bike. Okay, so I've modeled how to solve a few word problems that involve time. So what I want you to do is go on to Pearson and try some on your own.